We are in one of the Shafdan soil aquifer treatment basins. The Shafdan is the largest wastewater treatment facility in Israel. It treats about 140 million cubic meters per year, and the wastewater is coming from all the cities in Dan region, Tel Aviv and all the cities around Tel Aviv. First, the wastewater is delivered to the main Shafdan facility, which is about 4 or 5 kilometers west of us. It goes through the first and second stage, the activated sludge, and then following the secondary treatment, it is being delivered to one of the 5 soil aquifer treatment basins. We are in one of these basins. We are now on the edge of one of the infiltration ponds. So how does it work? After the secondary stage, the water is being delivered through this outlet into the ponds. It is flowing and the water level is increasing until we are in about half a meter. While we are flooding the pond, the water starts to infiltrate through the Vedo zone into the aquifer, the Israeli coastal aquifer, which is right below us. Once the infiltrating wastewater reaches the water table, it starts to flow laterally, and then there is a circle of production wells, and the water is pumped and being delivered mostly to the western Negev in Israel for unlimited agriculture. This infiltration stage is extremely efficient, and 80 to 95% of the contaminants that are flowing with the treated wastewater is being removed mostly by biodegradation, and the quality of the water that is pumped through the circle of the production well is extremely good. Behind me, we are seeing a pond that is now fully wetted. Water is being delivered and it's fully wetted. On the other hand, if we go to the other side, we see a pond that was already completely drained and it looks dry. So we have wetting and drying cycles. This is the operational mode of the Shafdan basins, wetting and drying. This is very important because during the drying stage, oxygen penetrates into the soil and enhance the biodegradation of the contaminants. Now, if we look after the dry pond, we see a big branch of the IKEA. This is an example of a process that is happening around all the basins. 30 years ago, when Mekorot built these ponds, it was empty areas, sand dunes. But now the cities are growing and the value of the land is increasing all the time. So one of the very important issues that we're dealing with is how to optimize the process. From one hand, there is more and more wastewater that we need to treat. On the other hand, because the soil is so valuable, we cannot get more soil for more infiltration basins. We need to maximize the amount of wastewater that infiltrate from one hand and keep the high level of purification on the other hand. So this is very tricky. How we can do it? There are different methods that are now being investigated about optimization of this process. First, plowing the soil. Every 4 to 6 weeks, the soil, the surface of the infiltration ponds is being plowed to break the biocrust that is being generated and improve the infiltration, improve the permeability of the soil, because this skin that is being developed on the surface is preventing fast infiltration. Just an example, about 1.5 years ago, after intensive research, it was found that if we change the plowing method, we can significantly improve infiltration. And indeed, it is really helping us a lot, especially during the winter when we have a lot of water that need to be infiltrated into the wet ozone. Another method is to play between the wetting and drying cycles. How to optimize it, how to maximize the time that we have water standing on the pond from one hand. On the other hand, we need the oxygen, because the oxygen, the dry period, is really essential for the optimization of the biodegradation process. So there are a lot of experimental work, including some experiments that we're doing on small scale in the laboratory with different sizes of columns, about how to decide what is the best ratio between wetting and drying cycles. We're doing it in different places, not in this basin, but in other basins where we do some research, and this is very important. Another method that now is being explored is to inject air into the subsurface, so we can from one hand keep longer wet periods, on the other hand supply air and oxygen, so we are improving the biodegradation process. Another method that is currently being explored is to use an alternative land for flooding. And we are talking about agricultural fields like orchards. And there are a lot of orchards around the Shafdan, and flood them during the winter as an alternative for the flooding basins. And here what we did was we put together an experimental plot where we take water, wastewater from the basins, and we flood these trees, orange trees, and we test a lot of parameters of the leaves, parameters of the fruit, and parameters of the soil. And we have suction cups where we can take water from the subsurface, and we look what happened to this orchard because we are flooding it periodically with treated wastewater. This is just an alternative, because the overall land mass of orchards around this area is about 50 times more than the total area of the current infiltration basins. So if we only use 10% of this area for flooding, we can solve the problem of lack of surface area for the Shafdan operation. So this is just an alternative that we're currently exploring to see the solutions for the expensive land and the increasing amount of wastewater coming from the Dan region, the Tel Aviv metropolitan.